Welcome to Neon Cobra. Let's kick into it. So we spent the last few weeks talking about design scenarios around B series and D versus E series virtual machines. So at this point, you at least have a little bit of an indicator where you need to go to get started on virtual machine decisions. Now, when we look at storage drives, that's something that's also often overlooked. Similar to the FS Logic profile disks that we talked about a few weeks back, determining whether you go standard HDD or SSD versus, say, premium SSD has the same considerations. Storage transaction charges will sneak up on those smaller disks. And if you're looking to save a couple dollars here and there, you may actually find you've paid more in storage transactions. And that can sometimes be very hard to determine whether that's happening or not in the environment, especially depending on how you're receiving your invoices. So general rule of thumb, if anything is going to be, say, running a database, anything that might be indexed frequently, constantly hit by maybe user end assets, you generally want to move to a premium disk, right? Operating system drives, more often than not, really don't have a lot of churn on them. But if it's, say, the operating system drive where an AVD host pool is using, move to premium, right? If a user is interfacing with it in any way, one, you don't want to constrain them on performance to save a couple dollars, but two, you don't want to be caught by surprise on storage transaction charges. Second general rule of thumb, I very rarely recommend using standard HDD. While you are saving a little bit of money in the long run, the performance hit is actually quite substantial. So, if we use a 128 as an example in Canadian, it's $7.90 versus $14 or, $13 essentially for standard SSD, and then $25 for a premium at that point. So understanding, where to move things, obviously it moves the needle more on larger disks, but take a look and see if it's worth the degradation in performance. Finally, if you're trying to figure out what's costing the most, take a look at your Azure Cost Manager. You can break down disks and understand where your storage transactions are coming from. Catch you next week.